right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining NJHMFA's Road Home NJ Home Buying webinar. I'm Jordan Campbell, the Communications Assistant at NJHMFA. First, I would like to notify you that we are recording this webinar and it will be visible to the public. So if you have your video on and do not want to be shown, please shut it off now. We will be sharing a lot of information in today's webinar. With that said, please notice on your Zoom toolbar, there is a chat box. This is where I will be uploading helpful links throughout the presentation if you want to copy them, if you're on a computer. If you are on a phone or unable to copy, that's fine. We will also be able to send all these links and materials to you via an email tomorrow morning, so just look out for that. If you have registered for this event, we have your email address. If someone shared this Zoom link with you and you did not register, then please feel free to chat me your email address and name so I can add you to the email going out tomorrow along with future emails on Homebuying. Lastly, please keep yourselves muted during the presentation and please feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions. Throughout the webinar, we will address the questions during the Q&A. If you are calling in, then we will ask you to unmute at the time of the Q&A and you will, if you would like to ask a question. All right, now I would like to introduce our first speaker, who we call the face of our agency, the real MVP here at NJHMFA, Jesse Crawford, who is our lender outreach and marketing coordinator.
Thank you, Jordan, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for all taking the time to spend with us. We got a host of information to share with you today about our down payment assistance program. We have a wonderful realtor on the line who's actually going to tell you about the importance of hiring a realtor during this home buying process for you. And we also have an attorney who will speak and let you know the importance of having an attorney to represent you during the process of buying a home. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen. And can everybody see my screen okay? Jordan? Let me see here.
Yep, yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Let me just minimize this and put this in full view. All righty. Okay. Today we're going to talk about maximizing first-time home buyer opportunities using the down payment assistance from our agency, known as the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, or NJHMFA. A little bit about us. We are a housing finance agency located here in New Jersey, in Trenton, the city of Trenton. And we provide affordable home mortgages for first-time home buyers and programs that are offered through a network of approved lenders. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that later, particularly the lenders that we have and the programs that we provide. A little bit of statistics I want to go over. The National Association of Realtors first-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers, okay? And the largest share of home buyers continues to be the age group between 25 and 34, which accounts for 54% of all home buyers. In addition, 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, typically there are roadblocks to home ownership, and I want to go over just a few. Studies show that the leading barriers why renters are able to purchase or don't purchase a home or feel they don't qualify for a home is one, down payment cost, the amount of closing costs. They may not have enough saved. Qualifying for a mortgage might be another issue that hinders folks from buying a home. Also, the amount of debt, job security, and whether or not they even want to in a position to settle down at that particular time. And one of the phenomenons that we're dealing with right now in New Jersey, and a number of the realtors on this webinar can attest to, is not enough inventory, not enough homes for sale. So affording the down payment, 68% said that that was one of the issues that kept them from buying a home. 53% qualifying for a mortgage. And as you can see on this particular graph, 50% said debt was the number one issue why they could not afford to buy a home. Now, specifically, 9 in 10 low income renters said having the money for down payment and closing costs was the major obstacle for home ownership for them. Okay, that's 88%. Middle income renters, 72%, also indicated the same challenge. Low income renters also, 62% of them said that was an issue. And 39% of middle income renters considered having funds for their down payment and closing costs and other things that are that comprise of purchasing a home as a major obstacle. Now here's a quick snapshot of things that delayed folks from being able to save to purchase a home. Right on the top here, you can see student loans for first-time home buyers at 56%. Credit card debt, 34%. Car loans, childcare expenses, healthcare costs, and others. Major obstacles for hindering folks from saving money for a down payment to purchase a home. Now, I want to get into our mortgage programs that we provide. We provide a first mortgage through our foundational mortgage programs. One is our first time home buyer mortgage and our homeward bound mortgage program. Okay. Now, they have a lot of similarities, but there are some differences, and I'll go through those differences in a minute. But the first time home buyer mortgage provides a competitive loan for eligible home borrowers to purchase their first home in New Jersey. The program offers a 30-year fixed government insured loan, and the rates for these mortgages are determined by our agency. We determine the rates, and we send those rates out to the lenders by 10 a.m. each and every day. The lender does not dictate the rate. The lender does not change the rate. We dictate the rates, and again, we send them out by 10 a.m. Each and every day. Now, let me explain the first-time home buyer mortgage and its requirements. The borrower must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. The borrower must qualify and meet all requirements for the first mortgage through our agency, and that mortgage is originated through one of our participating lenders. We have a list of lenders, a little over 50 some odd lenders that we have on our list in order to receive our down payment assistance, which I'll get into later in the slide. You must use our participating lender, someone from our participating lender list, and they will underwrite for the first mortgage, and they will factor in the down payment assistance monies if you qualify for them. Now, also, you must be a first-time home buyer, as defined, someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. So if you are living somewhere and renting for the last 3 years, you are considered a first-time home buyer. Even if you have a property as an investment property someplace else, if you're renting somewhere for the last 3 years and can prove it by way of taxes and other documents that might need be required, then you are considered a first-time home buyer. And qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another home or primary residence, I should say, at closing. Minimum credit score for the first-time home buyer mortgage, 620 or greater. The debt to income ratios are 40 and 45. And the borrower is required to have 2 months reserves of monthly mortgage payment. Those reserves can be in savings, checking, retirement account, could be a gift from a family member. But you do have to have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. The borrower's household income must meet the first-time home buyer statewide income limits. This link here is the income limits by county. Let me click on this here. And what I want to do, new share. Okay, so if you see my screen here, here are the income limits statewide for first-time home buyers. As you can see for Mercer County, 1 to 2 family household, the maximum income for Mercer County is $108,700, $108,700. If there's 3 or more in the family, the maximum income is $125,005. Now, the way they calculate household, it's calculated by everyone in the household, including children. But in terms of factoring the income, it's all working adults 18 and older in the household, unless they're in school full-time and can prove that, then their income is not calculated. Jordan, can you all hear me? My internet connection is saying it's not stable. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And let me go back to sharing my screen again. And lastly, on this particular slide, borrowers must not possess enough liquid assets to close a mortgage loan 80% LTV or less. If you can close a loan at 80% LTV or less, then the funds for this program, you won't qualify for it because in essence, you really don't need them. Now, I'm going to talk about our Homeward Bound program, which is very similar to our first-time home buyer requirements, but there are some slight changes. And first, as before, you must purchase and occupy a residential home in New Jersey. Also, same requirement as before with the first-time home buyer, meet all requirements by our agency for the first mortgage loan originated by one of our lenders. Also, first-time home buyers defined as someone who has not had homeowner interest in a primary residence during the previous 3 years. Qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers. And the difference with the Homeward Bound and the first-time home buyer is that there are higher debt to income ratios for the Homeward Bound than there are for the first-time home buyer. And I'm going to go into that in a bit. Minimum credit score 620 or higher is the same, but as you can see on this screen, the debt to income ratio, the max is 40 on the front and 50 on the back, whereas for the first-time home buyer, it's 40 and 45. All the other requirements are the same. 2-month reserves is required, and there are income limits by county. But the difference here is that I'm going to pull up the income limits for the Homeward Bound. And I'm going to do a new share. And as you can see here, for Mercer County, they take 140% of the area median income. Mercer County, the maximum income for the household is $152,180. So that's also a difference from the previous program, the first time home buyer mortgage that I showed on the other slide. So the income limits are higher, and also the debt to income ratios are higher. And again, you cannot possess enough liquid assets to close the loan at 80% LTV or less. Now, really quick, I want to go into urban targeted areas, which are designated by the Department of HUD. And each county has designated urban targeted areas for development and other things. Now, for urban targeted areas, buyers of homes located within these areas or qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers. But the caveat here is must not own another property or residence at closing. So they could be a current homeowner looking to buy a new property for whatever reason. They can take advantage of our down payment assistance program and our low interest rate mortgage, but they would have to sell their primary residence prior to closing. Okay. And also, the benefits of buying in an urban targeted area are higher income limits are permitted and qualifying for the loan, and higher housing purchase prices are permitted. Okay. And this link at the bottom of this particular slide is what we call our urban targeted area site evaluator. And when you click on this link, it'll bring you to a web app where you actually can plug in the address of the potential property that you're looking to purchase, or for the realtors on the call, you can plug it in for your client to see if that home is indeed in an urban targeted area. And if it is, and they're an existing home owner looking to buy a new home, then they can take advantage of our down payment assistance and our low interest rate mortgage. What's important on this particular slide is down at the bottom, there are urban targeted area income limits. I'm not going to click on that PDF, but it's similar to the standard limits and the homeward bound limits, but they're just a little bit higher. And I believe everyone has these or will have these links in the chat so they can copy them and view these at their leisure. But what's important on this particular slide that I want to share is that additional resources are available for down payment. And there's a link here, downpaymentresources.com. We don't manage this site, but it is a resource for folks on the call looking for additional down payment resources. Because there's a lot of money out here to help you buy a home if you don't have necessary capital. And in some cases, you can purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket. And you can combine our particular down payment assistance program with other programs that you may qualify for throughout the counties or through township or through other sources that you may find, as long as those other sources will allow it and they will agree to a certain lien position on the property. The last link on this particular slide, which is important for folks who do not know what's on their credit or have not gotten a copy of their credit report. Annualcreditreport.com is a great place to go get a copy of your credit report from all three bureaus, and you're entitled to one each and every year, free of charge. So if you do not or have not viewed your credit report and you need a copy, you can use this link to go and get a free copy of your credit report once a year. Now, this is the meat and potatoes side-by-side comparison for the single family mortgage programs, okay? Again, these are foundational mortgage programs and can be combined with our down payment assistance program, okay? As I said before, urban targeted areas or qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. Now, the side-by-side comparison, minimum credit score is 620 for both. First-time home buyer has lower income limits, Homeward Bound has higher income limits. First-time homebuyer has lower debt-to-income ratios, whereas Homeward Bound has higher income ratios. They're both 30-year fixed mortgages. They both, well, one has a lower interest rate than the other. The Homeward Bound has a higher interest rate. Currently today, the first-time homebuyer interest rate is 2.75, and the Homeward Bound is 3.125. Now, very important to utilize our program and down payment assistance. Each and every borrower is required to complete credit counseling through a HUD-approved counseling agency. That's mandatory. Once you complete your credit counseling course, you will receive a certificate, or you should receive a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 full year. A copy of that certificate has to be submitted with your loan documents when it's submitted to our agency for compliance. Lastly, on this particular slide, both mortgage products, you can purchase up to a 1 to 4 family unit, and you must occupy one of those units as your primary residence for 5 years after you purchase the home. Okay, so you purchase a 2-family, you live in one unit, you rent out the other, but you must live in that unit for 5 years as your primary residence. The requirements for documents for our loans are listed here. 3 years signed federal tax returns are going to be required, or 3 years transcripts, 30 days pay stubs, 2 years W-2s are required for all household members when the file is submitted to the lender. 2 months bank statements are required for all borrowers. Borrowers, again, must show 2 months of reserves. Okay, and those reserves can be from personal accounts. It can be gifts to qualify, or provide 401k statements or pension, but the borrower does not need to withdraw these funds from those accounts. And really quick, agency proceeds shall not in any circumstances be used to pay down or reduce or satisfy any debt to qualify for our mortgage. And borrowers can get cash back if there is an excess, but it's up to $3,000 for out-of-pocket expenses that were paid, such as appraisal fee, inspection, pest inspection, and the home buyer's course alike. Now, this is the meat and the potatoes of the presentation. I like to call this the free money section. Our down payment assistance program will provide qualified borrowers with $10,000. That's a flat $10,000. It's not up to $10,000. It's a flat $10,000 to be used towards down payment and closing costs. And our down payment is what we refer to as a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate. Okay. And it's coupled as part with our sub-program mortgage, our first mortgage is coupled with, and our loans are all FHA, VA, or USDA government insured loans currently. We will be providing conventional mortgages before year's end. We were on pace to provide conventional lending through our agency before the pandemic hit, but that put it on the back burner for a bit. But we anticipate before year's end to be providing a conventional mortgage product with down payment assistance with somewhere around 3 or 3.5% requirement for down payment for the borrower. Okay. And in that case, our down payment could assist with those potential home buyers getting our conventional product and meeting that 3.5% down payment. And as I said before, the home buyer must reside in the property as their primary residence for 5 years after purchase without selling, without refinancing, and obviously without defaulting on the mortgage. If they adhere to these guidelines, the $10,000 is totally and completely forgiven. In the event that the borrower conveys, refinances, or ceases to occupy the premises during that 5-year period, all of the down payment assistance funds will be due and payable. Okay. So if you decide you want to move 1 month before the 5-year period is up, unfortunately, you're going to have to pay back the entire $10,000. The great thing about this program, whereas this time last year, we didn't offer this program for new construction. Now you can utilize the down payment assistance program coupled with our mortgage for new construction and must be used for the borrower's primary residence that they're purchasing here in the state of New Jersey. Borrowers can use seller concessions with the down payment assistance. And with the DPA, some borrowers may not need any additional funds of their own for closing. So you can, in essence, purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket with our down payment assistance, with seller concessions that your realtor can help you with, and any other down payment assistance program that you might qualify for. Really quick, the eligible properties. Again, it must be located in the state of New Jersey, must be a single family home, could be a condo, townhome, manufactured home, or mobile home on an affixed foundation. And it can be a 1 to 4 family unit, but one unit must be occupied by the borrower as his or her principal residence for 5 years. As I said earlier on one of the other slides, HUD approved counseling is actually required for all applicants. This link here will take you through a list of counseling agencies by county, or you can go to HUD.gov and search by state and search by your particular county or city and find a certified HUD counseling agency or credit counseling agency so you can get your credit counseling taken care of and receive your certificate to be provided with your loan package. Now, just to wrap up, NJHMFA is a solution for one of the leading reasons that consumers do not purchase homes, okay? And we provide a strategy to help renters and buyers who are facing or faced with the roadblock with the lack of resources for down payment and closing costs. Our down payment assistance, again, is a forgivable loan at 0 interest for 5 years that you can use with seller concessions or any other pool of funding that you might receive for down payment assistance from the county or some other municipality. But it's a great resource for folks to get over that hurdle for having enough resources to cover the cost to purchase a home. Lastly, on this particular slide, and it's a great resource for potential home buyers and for realtors to share during their consultation with potential home buyers, is our Road Home New Jersey guide. It's a complete guide from A to Z on the process of purchasing a home. It has links for calculators, learning how to calculate your mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, and other things. It has a glossary of terms in the back. So if you have a client who's not familiar with certain terms that are being used, real estate terms or mortgage terms, they can look that up in the back of this glossary. We have these in hard copy. If any realtor on the call would like these in hard copy, we can ship them out free of charge to you. Or if you like, this link will take you to a PDF file that you can simply email to your client, and your client can use that as a resource. It's a great resource for someone who is, new to this whole process, and it helps them understand from the beginning until they actually get their keys and close, walk into their new house. Lastly, on this particular slide here, we have a list of approved lenders. And if you have a client or there's someone on the line or on this webinar who wishes to apply for a mortgage, you can simply use our lender request form by clicking on the link available here. And this request form will gather your information, and we will return to you 3 of our top lenders to help you decide if you want to move forward, get you pre-qualified and move you through the process, and also qualify you for our down payment assistance of $10,000. If you are currently working with a lender right now and say you have a pre-qualification or even a pre-approval, and you would like to take advantage of this $10,000 as part of your down payment and closing costs, and they're not on our approved list, they can simply email sflenders@njhmfa.gov to learn about enrolling in our program. It doesn't take very long to get them on board with us. And again, as I tell folks, if you need this $10,000 to help you purchase a home and your current lender is not on the list, what does it hurt to tell them that, give us a call, get on our list, and then we can help them to navigate and get you the funding that's needed to help you purchase your home. And that's it for my presentation. My information is here on the screen. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at the email address on screen, or give me a call and leave me a voicemail. Email is best, but if you happen to call me, I will return your call, but email is best. And let me stop sharing my screen. Are there any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask the question, or Jordan, do you want to facilitate that? How you want to handle it?
Okay, so just looking at the chat, we don't have any questions in the chat yet. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to unmute yourself, and Jesse will do his best to answer.
I have a question. So for the application, would y'all email it to us, or how can I go about?
Well, the way it works is,
I was kind of late. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. And I'm speaking to, is the last name Darby?
Yes.
The way it works is that the lender, I hate to say this, but the lender does all the work. We just provide the funding. Okay. So you go through our approved lender list and you reach out to a lender, and the lender is going to pre-qualify you for a mortgage. That lets you know how much mortgage you can afford. Then that lets you know how much home you can shop for. Okay. So everything starts with the lender. And I believe the links are going to be included in the chat. And also you'll get a copy of this particular recording later on, so you can review it again. Okay.
Okay. So that's the first step, is speaking with the lender.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does the pre-qualification, does that include the escrow, or is it just the price of the house?
Well, the pre-qualification is going to be a basic rundown of what you can afford, what type of home you're looking to buy, and it's going to and where you're looking to purchase is another thing that the lender is going to talk to you about, so you can get a sense of generally what the taxes and other things are going to be, and it's an estimate. It's not a firm approval, but it's an estimate. Okay, and once you get qualified based on your monthly income and how much you can afford, then they can factor in and give you absolute numbers. But it's just an estimate to see where the ballpark is, and where you possibly qualify for how much money and other things. So there's a little bit of work that needs to be done, but it does factor in just the basics.
Also, I have a question. That score of 620, is that definite, or is there's work of other options towards that?
The score needs to be a minimum of 620 or higher, so in order to qualify for our program.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you guys affiliated with? Yeah, I'm sorry. I have one more. Are you guys affiliated with the Camden? I think it's on Pine Street, because I had took a course with them before, the Camden housing.
How long was that? Did you receive?
No, it was a lot of. No, my certificate is probably expired, but I just want to know: are you guys affiliated with them? We're
not per se affiliated with them, but if they have some type of down payment assistance program that can be coupled with ours, I recommend that you research it, because the more money you have, the better in terms of your purchasing.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. I have a question as far with the 620 with the score or greater. I also, with my credit, I could be going a little ahead of myself here, but with the credit score, I know my credit score was more than 620 about a few months ago until I purchased a car, and it dropped because they had checked my credit like 20 times. So is there a way that I can also get help with that, a program with that? Because my credit score was 742 on all three until they checked my credit 20 times.
Yeah, unfortunately, time is going to have to correct that on your credit report because those inquiries are there. They're not illegal. They weren't put there illegally, right? Those inquiries. Did you go through a website to get the best price from someone and then they sent it out to
It
various
was
folks?
at a dealership. It was at a dealership.
Yeah.
And that I know of, they only supposed to have checked it twice, and I had closed it once they checked it, but not knowing when I got my credit report from Credit Karma, and I counted how many times they checked my credit 20 times, and it really put an impact on my credit score.
Yeah, there's a number of factors that go into that. The amount of time that it was done, those inquiries,
Right.
short span of time, or was it done over the course of a month or 2 months? Or was there anything else that was an inquiry for anything other than auto loans? There's just some factors you're going to have to work with the credit counselor to look at that and see how possibly some of those things can be corrected. If not, from my personal experience, the only thing that corrects those type of things is time.
Okay.
All right. But when you work with a credit counselor, they can look at that with you. Even in some cases, the realtor can work with you on that, or the lender can look at that for you and determine some options for you. But my recommendation is to work with the credit counselor and see what can be done.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, we actually have a question in the chat. Just gonna read it real quick. After the 5-year period is up and the DPA loan is forgiven, can you refinance to a 15-year loan term?
You can do whatever you want. It's your equity. That $10,000 is your equity to use as you see fit. You've stayed there for the mandatory amount of time, and you can do whatever you want with the property. Sell, refinance, rent it out. That's your option. You're free.
I have a question. I wanted to know, is it suggested to do the credit counseling first or go through the lender and just follow their procedure?
Well, you can do it however you see fit. You can do the credit counseling while you are pre-qualified with the lender. What's important is that that credit counseling is done prior to closing and you have that certificate. So some folks do credit counseling first, some do it during the process. Just as long as you have it prior to closing, you're good to go.
Right, because I was trying to straighten out some things on my credit before I went to the lender, because it's things that I know that I need to work on, and I wanted to, instead of going through the lender and just holding up the process that way, I wanted to work on the things I needed to work on first and then go to the lender.
That's actually smart. So work on those things, get it corrected, know what's on your credit report. So when you do go to qualify for a mortgage, there's no surprises. You know what your credit score is, you know what's on there that's correct. Whatever's on there that's not correct, then you can work to get those things removed or eliminated prior to applying for the mortgage. Because what you don't want to do is go in blind and then hope that you're going to get qualified because you don't realize what's actually being reported on your credit report. So you're actually on the right track.
Okay, yeah, because my student loan is my biggest problem, and I already know with that one. So thank you guys.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, can I back up on that what she just said about her student loans?
No, you get one question and one question only. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
Okay, with that student loan, if you check your credit report, that should be off, because I know with mine and with my daughter's student loan, they had took that off. Was something this program that Joe Biden had put forth, whatever. They had took that off the credit. I know it's not on mine or my daughter's. That is really, it's off there. We don't owe anything. It's paid off and everything. So maybe you want to check and see as well. Check that. Check
Thank
in.
Yeah, and it's on an individual basis though. Everybody's situation is different. But
Right.
Yeah.
you may be correct, Trina.
Yeah, it's still showing on mine, but it's saying it's in good standing. And plus I work for the government, so I'm trying to get it forgiven. So that's
Yeah,
why I'm
yeah.
waiting a while to get all of that stuff straightened out before I apply.
Okay.
Because what the lender's going to do, without getting it all in the weeds here, they're going to look at your student loan. They're going to factor in 1% of that monthly payment as a monthly payment, and factor that in as part of your debt to income ratios when you qualify.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody
Right.
else? These are all great questions.
I see that Cynthia has a question. If a couple is purchasing the home together, would they both have to do credit counseling, or is one sufficient?
One certificate is sufficient for the borrower on the loan. Both, generally, we recommend you both take it. One would suffice, but we recommend you both take it if you're both going to be signing these loan documents together. But if one of the borrowers have it for the household, that should suffice.
So if one of the spouse have the primary income that is available, I mean, that's accepted as well, the higher income.
Well, they're going to look at combined income for the household. And then there's another
Okay.
thing where they look at income, but who's qualified for the mortgage.
Okay, got you.
Anybody else? Great. I don't want to hold up. We're kind of ahead of schedule tonight, which is a good thing. And if no more questions, feel free, if you think of something, to put it in the chat. And if we don't get to it tonight, we will follow up and email the responses to you later. But for now, I'm going to turn this back over to Jordan.
All right, thank you, Jesse. Thank you for the information. And I would like to now turn it over to our realtor. It's Virginia Betteridge. She's a sales associate at Weichert Realtors in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Thank you for coming. Take it away whenever you're ready.
Oh, thank you so much, Jordan. Welcome and good evening, everyone. It is so exciting to be here with you tonight and go over the steps of home buying. The explanations from Jesse were just phenomenal, and I even learned some things. So while I'm here tonight to help you with your home buying, I am here to navigate and help you learn the process. And if I don't have the answers to all of your questions, I will make it my diligence to make sure that I get the answers for you. So with that being said, when you're looking for your first home, it is really important to connect with a person that you feel comfortable with, a person that brings knowledge to the table, and someone that understands the market that you are looking in. So I'm very familiar with Camden County, and I'm not sure if everyone that it's on the webinar tonight is from Camden County, but so if I make some references, that's the reason. It's because I live here and I work here. So as Jordan introduced me as Virginia, but my friends call me Jenny, and I'm a licensed New Jersey realtor. I'm also a member of the Nexus, which is a local professional organization, and NAR's, the National Association of Realtors. So with that being said, I come bringing you knowledge and information that not only do I learn through the Weichert umbrella that I represent, but also national trends. And that's really important, to have a realtor that understands the market and the trends, and especially the type of home and location and the needs and desires that you're looking for. Somewhere in the chat line, I think I'm going to be able to provide you the 16 steps of home buying. And that's a handout that I share with all my buyers. Talking a little bit more about myself, because finding the right realtor is very important. I have 16 years experience as an elected public official. So in 2010, I retired from my community of Runnymede as the mayor of the town. I share that with you because it's important. The knowledge that I learned serving on the planning and zoning board and meeting with my constituents is something that I bring to my real estate business. So it's just another caveat of information and knowledge that is very helpful when I help my buyers and my sellers. So it's very hard to talk about yourself and bring things to the table because no one likes to talk about themselves, but I thought that was important to share. And the other piece that I like to share is that I'm a people-oriented individual, and I serve on the Camden County Board of Social Services. And that agency allows me to communicate and connect with many of my fellow members of the community in Camden County. So I bring another aspect that most realtors don't have. So when you're looking to buy a house, it's very important to connect with the person that you personally connect with. And the process in the Whitebird world, there's 16 steps. And I'm sorry that I have to glance down, and sometimes I might have to put my readers on. But I wanted to share, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Under the Whitebird umbrella, we're all under one roof. And that means that I can provide real estate services, mortgage services, insurance, and closing services. And tonight, I'm really happy that my colleague and my team member, Lori Lamb, is here. Lori is the person that I share a lot of my business with because they're excellent title closers. And I'm not going to get into that aspect. I'm going to let her explain that to you. But so the first step, when we meet, we have a buyer's consultation, and that's where I get to know you. I get to ask questions about where you're looking to buy home. What are the criteria that you're looking for that home should have for you? We build a relationship, and we define many things that typically can't happen over a telephone conversation. I'm kind of old school. I like to talk to people in person, and I invite you to my Haddonfield office. Once we determine that we're going to work together and we're going to be moving forward, it's very important that we get you pre-qualified or pre-approved. And I was happy to hear some of the information that Jessie shared, because I look forward to working with the agency and with the lenders that are approved under that umbrella. Then I can introduce you to the services that are provided via Whitebird, which is title and insurance. And from there, the team is being built. So it's not just me, it's a team effort. We work together to get you to the closing table. We care about you. We know that it's a scary process sometimes, which it shouldn't be. It is overwhelming. There's information and language that is spoken that sometimes you will not even understand or know where to go, but that's why I'm here. I'm here with my team to support you and guide you through the process of purchasing your first home, which is a very exciting time. And at the end, I hope to hand over a set of keys and congratulate you. So after you're pre-approved, we go out to tour the homes. That's the fun part. I love that part. This is where you and I go. We look at homes. We make an assessment of the home. We check off the checklist of the criteria, which might be a 3-bedroom home, 2 bathrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, etc. Then from there, we make an offer. That offer is placed by your realtor, which is me. So we are experts in negotiating. So if the realtor is listening and paying attention to your needs, the offer process sometimes can be daunting, but most times we reach a conclusion and an offer is accepted. So we prepare those offers and submit them on your behalf. At that point, a contract is drawn up. And in New Jersey, realtors can offer the services of walking you through a contract. But in many instances, and in the first page of a contract on the buy side is a notice that lets you make a decision if you'd like to choose an attorney to help us navigate the home buying process, or if you decline it. But it is a purchase that is sizable, and we always have a very open and honest conversation about using an attorney. attorneys and realtors work well together, and we all have attorneys that are part of our team. And tonight we have an attorney coming on after me, which is part of this team tonight. The contract of sale, once it's negotiated, it's agreed upon, it is signed. At that point, we have a 3-day window for the contract to become fully executed. And that's a very happy time, because now the offer was accepted and you're on the path to buying your first home. Then we schedule an appraisal. And that's another time where I will guide you through the process. I will negotiate and work with you for any of the deficiencies that show up during the home inspection. And it can be sometimes daunting, but I can tell you that there's nothing that we can't overcome by just having conversation and making sure that the seller's aware of what was found and that the buyer is okay with the negotiation part 2, which is initially when we go under contract and during the home inspection process. We have insurance and title, which you'll meet Lori, and she will tell you about the process of and what it means to have a good title company working for you. We have a home protection plan. Sometimes our buyers purchase their home 1-year home warranty. Sometimes the seller, as part of the selling process, offers a 1-year home warranty. But those are different pieces of reassurances that you're able to use down the road in the event that there was something that failed in the house. If you have a home warranty, those items such as an oven, sometimes the HVAC, they're all covered under the home warranty. So we as a realtor, we will help you either purchase one on your own or sometimes negotiate that for you. We then have the first walkthrough after the initial tour. The initial one is a tour. We have a walkthrough during the home inspection. Then we get our closing confirmation. That is very important and exciting, because we're just a couple steps away from the home buying process. And you also will receive a closing disclosure, which is a CD, and that will tell you the funds that you need to bring to the table and anything else that may be pertinent to the ability for us to get to the closing or settlement table. And then there's a final walkthrough the day that we go to settlement. You and I will walk through the house, make sure that everything that was supposed to be taken care of is taken care of. And then from there, the final step is sitting at the closing table. And those are the 16 steps. There is a little bit more of information that flows during that time frame, but the most important process is that we find a home that you can enjoy with your family, that we make the process as seamless and as effortless as possible. I am here to help answer every question that you have. I am here to basically hold your hand and make sure that you have the best transfer of the buying process. And the knowledge that we bring as individual people really makes a difference when you're buying a home. And at this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to my colleague Lori and have her talk a little bit about the title services.
Do you mind if I leave my comfy couch to come join you, Ginny?
Sure.
We're actually in the same office together. Hello, everybody, and thank you. A special thank you to NJHMFA for inviting Ginny and I to come and speak to you about the importance of a real estate agent to have in your as part of your home buying process. So what Ginny has done, and this plays on the expertise of a real estate agent and how important it is to do your homework, to actually, to kind of seek the professional advice of an agent, because as you just saw, there are a lot of steps to the home buying process and it can be overwhelming. So what she does and let me just tell you, as a title insurance company, we deal with a lot of agents, a lot of insurance agents, a lot of different people. And there is a difference when you deal with a professional with expertise such as Ginny. So, just to kind of give you an overview of what title insurance is, because this is going to be something that when you're buying a home, people are going to say, you need title insurance. It's very important. So why is that? Well, when you go out to do the fun part with Ginny, and you go and you look at your home and you see all the physical aspects of your home, and wow, it looks like this home might need a new roof, or well, maybe the HVAC needs a little tweaking because it looks older. These are the physical things you can see in the home. However, us as a title company, we help uncover the things that you can't see. We're kind of the CSI of the whole home buying process. So what we're doing is we're checking out to make sure Mr. Seller doesn't have any liens or judgments on the property that could prevent you from being that new homeowner of that home. So we're kind of, it's not your typical Google search. That's what a title company does. We're doing the investigative work, but we're also ensuring that that home on closing day is free and clear, is yours. You are protected. Your home ownership rights are protected from that day on until you decide to sell the home. So that's kind of like the overview. We're also kind of like the conductors of an orchestra. So we're getting all the pieces together. We're getting the mortgage company, the agents. If you have a home warranty that you like, we're putting that all together, and then we're packaging that up so that closing day, again, you own that home outright and free and clear. So that's kind of the basic overview of what I do. And I'm just one small representative of the amazing team that Ginny puts together so that she can make that home buying process as seamless and as effortless as possible. If there's three things you're going to walk away with tonight from having us both here, I think number one, not all agents are created equal. Do your homework, ask the questions. Knowledge is power. There's differences. It really does make a difference. This is the most important, if not one of the most important decisions and purchases you are going to make in your lifetime. So, trust the expertise of an agent, trust the expertise of their team. It really does make a difference in the end. And also, here's one little thing that a lot of new home buyers, I've been in the industry for, oh my goodness, going on 15 years now as an agent and into the title industry as well. But a lot of first-time home buyers don't realize that all this knowledge and expertise that this lady has right here to guide you through this process costs a home buyer nothing, because people say, well, what does this cost? How much does it cost? Commissions are paid from the seller. So the seller pays realtors commission. So Ginny can offer all this to you and it doesn't come out of your pocket whatsoever. So I implore you to please trust and use her knowledge and go find that dream home that you've always been wanting. And she's gonna take you all the way to the end. So. But I think that's it for me, right? Yeah, that's good.
I think that covers it all.
That covers it all.
Well, thank you for allowing us this time and for giving us the opportunity to give a brief explanation. Obviously, the home buying process is lengthy, but I think we gave you a little snippet of what it entails. And we're here to support you, to help you, to guide you, and to make sure that we get you to the closing table. And there's no greater pleasure for that day that I can hand you a set of keys when Lori's standing at the other end of the table and you are your first time home buyer. So thank you for giving me the opportunity and for listening to us. I know that Zoom is the way that we are conducting business nowadays in many regards, but I am a people person. So I hope that my contact information is put forth, and I will welcome any phone calls. You can stop by my Kings Highway office, Wycott Haddonfield, and on Kings Highway, and meet with me at any time, and we can take it from there. So Jesse and Jordan and my fellow colleague that's coming up behind me, thank you for allowing Lori and I to talk a little bit tonight about what we're so passionate about, which is helping people and helping you achieve your goals of home ownership.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Does anyone have any questions for Jenny?
Yes, I do. How long is the process of everything when once it gets started? About 2-3 months?
Oh, you would be really surprised. Usually it's about 30 days. Sometimes we have to bump it out for 45 days. And the reason is it might be something that we're trying to clarify. So it might need a little bit of extra time. And unfortunately, because we're living under COVID guidelines,
Yes.
sometimes we have to bump out a closing because of COVID. But typically, right, Lori, about 30 days.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's my average is 30 days.
Okay, great, great.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
The seller pays, yes. There's a question in the chat box.
Oh, you know what? I have another question.
Okay.
When you're residing already in a home, and if they like have an okay that you can, if you want to buy the home where you're living in, would that also be available as well as far as for the first time home buyers?
Well, if I listen to the explanation from Jesse, I'm going to say yes, because you're a first-time home buyer and you're going to reside in that primary residence. But I am going to defer to him because I don't want to say yes.
Jenny, you're absolutely right. If I'm hearing correctly, you currently renting the home that you're possibly going to purchase. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you're renting it. You don't own it, so you're a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
Okay, I think I see a question in the chat. Someone said that they heard that the seller pays the realtor's commission. I guess they thought that you paid your own realtor's commission. Can anyone answer that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, no problem. So the question was, someone heard that the seller pays the realtor commission, and I guess they thought that you paid your own realtor's commission. So they were just looking for clarification on that.
Yeah, the clarification is when a home is for sale, the commission or the fee for the real estate professional is paid on the sell side. So when you're at closing, there are two sides. There's a sell side and the buy side. You will see that debit for the fee or commission, if we're calling it the commission, come out of the seller side.
They don't pay. Buyers.
The buyers do not pay the commission for an agent.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Do we have any more questions? I think there's one more in the chat. Can you tell me a little about the current market? It seems the prices are very high. Do you think it's better to buy now with the lowest interest rates or wait for lower prices?
That's a very good question, and a question that I hear on a daily or every other day. To buy, it's a good time because the interest rates are so low. So it gives you more buying power to buy maybe a larger home or a higher priced home. The prices, you are correct. There are some homes that are selling above asking, which means that if a house is for sale for $200,000, it may end up closing at 210 or 215. I'm not going to say that 100% of the homes are selling over asking, but yes, it is a market where the sellers are benefiting. But yes, on the other hand, the buyers are benefiting because of the rate being at approximately 3%.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Are there any more questions for Jenny? All right, and I've also made her information available in the chat in case you wanted to reach out to her directly.
Jordan, just one more thing, because I just seen one of the participants' names, and I would be remiss if I didn't share that I am also bilingual in Spanish. So I work with a lot of Spanish-speaking clients, and I wish I could speak multilingual, but I don't. But at the very least, I want to put out there that I am bilingual in Spanish, and I can help those buyers as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Jenny. And again, her information is in the chat, so if you have any questions for her directly, she'll be able to, you can contact her and she'll be able to reach out. Okay, if we could keep the evening moving, I would like to welcome Sital Shah. He is our, he'll be our lawyer for the evening. Take it away whenever you're ready, Sital.
How are you? Good evening, all. Thank you for having me, Jordan, Jesse, and Cynthia. Good evening. I'm attorney Sital J. Shah, and what I'd like to tell everybody out there is whenever you sign a contract, do not worry. You have a 3-day attorney review process. So you have 3 business days to make changes to the contract, to provide input with your attorney and your agent, and to make changes that you would like. You may also cancel the contract if you're nervous or you change your mind. The practical advice I can give you today is not legal advice. It's going to start with practical advice. That means if you are outbidded in every other contract and you are trying to get a home and you are tired of seeing house after house with your agent and you finally see a house that you like, he or she that wins, that concludes attorney review wins the game. That means once you get a contract and once you make, your lawyer is going to make changes for you, the seller's attorney is going to make changes to the contract that favor the seller. Once you both agree and disagree on the changes, you both will sign off on it. When the point comes that the buyer and seller signs off on the changes, attorney review is concluded. Until that point, if the seller receives another offer, forget it, you're out of the game. So if you really like something, the goal is to work a little bit quickly. Now, once you get the contract, people often ask me, how much deposit do I put down? There's no magic number. The magic rule is seller always wants more from a buyer and buyer always wants to give less. Standard is $1,000 good faith when you sign a contract. Then it can be 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%, any amount down. Typically, the second deposit is usually after 3, 5, 7, 8, 10 days of concluding attorney review. That means everything I say today is based on when attorney review is concluded. That means a binding contract, all right? So if you make pretend that you signed the contract today with your agent, magically you met with your attorney today, the other attorney was available today, you concluded review today, everything I speak will be based on today, assuming attorney review was concluded today. Now, there's a few other things in the contract. Obviously, the closing date, you have to agree for the buyer. For the buyer, you got to agree on the closing date with the seller. If you don't agree, then you're not going forward. Typically, inspections are taking place 14 days after attorney review. You'll be providing a copy of the report to your attorney, email him a list of requests for repairs, and then you'll be able to negotiate. I'll speak about inspections in a second. I just want to cover some major terms in the contract. Items included: washer, dryer, refrigerator. This topic is interesting. The only thing allowed by law is a stove. Sometimes even the seller will try to take that, but they can't. By law, they have to provide a stove. There's no fundamental right to a dishwasher, microwave, refrigerator, washer, dryer. Although people think that's an inalienable right, it's not. If you see something in the house that you like, it's a brand new dishwasher, brand new refrigerator, I would take 2-3 minutes to mark it down with your agent in the contract. When they offer a dishwasher, washer, dryer, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a new washer dryer. You may have seen a brand new Viking refrigerator thinking it's yours. I've seen situations where a 1972 Grandma's Special comes rolling right in right before the closing, and that is what you're getting. So take minutes to note, newer GE refrigerator, so at least you are getting what you are expecting or negotiating. Now, typically in the contract, you'll have about 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment. That means simply you're going to get a piece of paper from the lender that says, A, I believe in you, B, I reviewed your financials, and I'm going to show up and give you the money on the day of the closing. Typically 4 weeks is provided. Then your attorney will review title work. Why is title work important? Title work means you want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. Now, if it's not your issue, it's your attorney's issue, but it only becomes your issue if you hire maybe a non-real estate attorney. There's a lot of devil in the details when you're doing a closing. For example, title work, you want to make sure the seller's mortgage is paid off, their water bills, I can go on and on. But the attorney will make sure there's no liens, lawsuits, or judgments, and everything is paid off and there's no back taxes. Your attorney is like a bodyguard. His job is to work and vet all people. They'll work with your agent, they'll work with your mortgage, title company. Consider the whole process working with multiple different personalities, all types of people, with a common goal of getting you to close at the closing table. So it's like a circus, and he or she is the ringleader working towards a common goal and working with everybody to achieve the same goal. All right, that's the overall process. Now, every much. After I do home inspections, what can I ask for? You could ask for anything. The seller is going to do anything. Key is to ask for major repairs. People often ask me, what's major? No one cares what I think. It's what the contract says what's major. So major means air conditioning, mechanical, sewer, mold, termite, asbestos. The roof should be free of leaks. Foundation should be free of leaks. And mechanical should be working. No environmental problems. These are some examples of major repairs. Now, people often ask me, can I cancel the contract if my girlfriend didn't like the inspection results? If my spouse doesn't like the house, I have a bad vibe. I don't like the sellers, how they looked at me during home inspections. I changed my mind. These are all various reasons where people try to cancel the contract. Unfortunately, if the sellers perform the major repairs, you really have no legal recourse to just automatically cancel the contract. Because think about it, what's the excuse? They're addressing all the major repairs. You will then ask me, well, what's a legal way then to get out of the contract, even though I don't want the house? If you don't perform a major repair, then that would be an excuse to get out of the contract legally. But you have to give them a chance to respond. If you don't have the right to hold up your deposit monies, because you can't have the unilateral right to cancel the contract. Now, people often ask me, well, what if they do certain repairs that are minor or things that are not major? That's a gift. You say, thank you. They didn't have to do it, and you wouldn't have any right to cancel the contract because they do minor repairs. Sometimes you may want the seller to perform repair. Sometimes you may want money. We all get impressions about people, just like on this Zoom call. You may like somebody based on their voice, based on their looks. You may tune them out. Everybody sizes everybody up. Same way with the seller. You may get a vibe. You may not want them to perform the repairs. You may just want money from them and control the situation and do the repairs yourself after the closing. So you can get an estimate. If the seller offers you $75 for a plumbing repair and your estimate says $700, at least you have some knowledge. 75 is not enough. Maybe 500 and 600 is enough and you'll close the deal. So you can get a licensed contractor and an estimate to try to back up or support the credit that you are seeking from the seller. Now, these type of credits will be a closing cost credit. The seller doesn't just hand you a check at closing and say, here you go, we agreed on $1,000, spend it any way you would like. It would go towards your closing cost and your lender would need to be aware of it. All right. Now, a few items. Let's assume we're through the closing process. We finished attorney review. We finished home inspections. Now we finished the mortgage and the title work. Let's pretend you're closing tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Today, your attorney would have told you how much money to bring. That's called closing costs, which you'd have to bring to closing. If your closing is at 2 o'clock tomorrow, you'll typically go with your agent to a walkthrough. You want to visit the property one more time. Now, this is not a second chance to do home inspection. This is not a second chance to find extra repairs that you forgot to ask for when you did the first home inspection and you may have forgotten to ask. You want to make sure the house is in the same condition as when you purchased the property or as when you signed the contract and you did home inspections. Let me explain. Let's say you're doing the walkthrough, and at the time of the signing of the contract and at the time of home inspections, the AC works. There's no dispute. However, 20 minutes before closing, the AC doesn't work. That's something you can ask for. Either they'll give you a credit, you'll have to assess pretty quickly what the problem is or get an estimate from someone, or then delay the closing throughout the day, see if the repair can be addressed. But if it's something so drastic, you may have to delay the closing if it's something of a bigger matter of urgency, in order to make sure everything is okay at the walkthrough. All right. Now, the last thing that I was going to end with is that try to hang with me on this one last point. All right. That was the whole process of a closing in a short, sweet nutshell. When you are the buyer, the seller has to perform certain inspections for you, not the buyer's home inspection. That's your responsibility. In the audience, you are buyers. The seller has to perform certain inspections prior to you buying the property. Every township has different requirements. Some townships have a smoke detector certification. Simple. Fire department comes in, checks the smoke detector, it works, they sign off, you're done. Some townships have what's called a certificate of occupancy. That means the building department comes in, does their inspection, passes, signs off. Either one, if it fails, the seller performs the repairs, the township comes back, re-inspects. If it's okay, they sign off. The point I'm trying to make is every town has two inspections. One or the other or both, either the smoke and the CO, just the smoke, just the CO. If you're so curious, you can go on Google. You can call any township's code enforcement. They will tell you what's required. Now, the audience, it's late. It's 8:21. If you didn't have dinner, it's a late night. So I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to hang with this last point. I promise you, I didn't even emphasize my name or my location yet. It's not important. If you hang with me on this last point, I guarantee in writing it's worth it. Please try to hang with me on the last point. Now, let's say, for example, you're an audience member out there and you met your agent today, and let's pick a random town. I mean, anywhere you want, doesn't matter. Somerset, New Brunswick out there, Bergen County, Camden. Pick a random town in your mind where you're buying a house. Let's assume that that town you visited today, you saw a basement and you said, you know what? I see this man cave. I see this woman cave. I see my kids playing here. I like it. Make the offer. You tell the agent, rush it. You sign, you leave work early. You're excited. No problem. Now, you decide in the audience, 50% of the population may be thinking, is that basement legal or not? The other 50% is so excited in getting their first home and so excited, they may not have the wisdom to ask whether that basement is illegal. You determine which group you're in. Let's assume you are not familiar what to ask. And let's assume that that township, the only requirement is a smoke detector. That means the fire department comes in, checks the smoke detectors, and passes. It's the only requirement the town has. Your attorney will ask the seller, I would like evidence that the basement's legal. The seller's attorney waves the smoke detector, tempting the buyer's attorney, and hands it to him. Your attorney then has two options here. One is to accept that certificate, say thank you, and move on. Or that attorney, hopefully he's a real estate attorney, has the wisdom to block it and say, thank you for the certificate, but that's not enough. You'll have to decide which camp you're in. Let's assume you're in decision number one, where your attorney accepts a smoke detector, calls it a day, and you close. You are very happy. You had your housewarming. You have all your friends for the barbecue. You're done. You're having a good time for 3 years. You forgot about your attorney. You forgot about Jesse. You forgot about everybody. Fast forward 3 years later, now you are selling your property. Just remember one thing in life. There are millions of people much smarter than you. This buyer who sees your finished basement says, I love that man cave. I want that man cave. Except this buyer asks you whether your basement has permits. You waive your smoke detector certificate from your previous closing. You're happy that you found it in paperwork that you didn't know where it was, and you give it to your attorney to give to the other attorney. However, this buyer, because every buyer now is smart, because everybody goes on Google all day long and everything else and says, this is not enough. I need a permit. You say permit? What's that? This buyer calls the town and says, is the basement legal? Township says, I don't have any record of any basement. Now you're like, excuse me, there's no record of any basement? Now the buyer goes a step further and says, I want permits for the basement. For everybody out there, permits means paperwork evidencing that the seller went through the township, did the work, the township inspected the work, and we are all good. That's what a permit means. Now you will say, I don't have any permits. Guess what? The seller now, you, will go to the town and get a permit. Sometimes you may have to hire electrical, like a licensed electrician, a plumber. The worst case I've seen, many cases, architectural drawings. And I hate to admit it, but the legal fees are more expensive than all three of those guys combined. I can tell you that. You will be very angry in spending money on a basement that you didn't do. I know what you're thinking. Your defense is going to be, hey, I hired a lawyer. He looks smart enough. I closed and it was like this. It's not my fault. I like that defense. That defense actually works, I think, in third grade last. That's about it. That won't work now. The buyer will make you get the permits or not close. So you will now have an expensive lesson in trying to get these permits to satisfy the buyer. Now, this is why I asked everybody politely to hang on this last point. I promised the last sentence. Why? It is against my financial interest to tell you how to avoid this problem. Why? Because I make a very, very good living helping a lot of people solve these problems. Very good living. No complaints there. How can you solve this problem? Very simple. You do two things. First thing I would do if I were you when you sign a contract, go to code enforcement. I mean, now it's COVID, so everything's online. Try to fill out what's called an Open Records Public Act form. It's a free form. Anyone can file it. Don't let the township tell you when you walk there or go online, you're not the owner of the property and you can't do it. I love that line. That line means code for township, that I'm busy eating my lunch, don't bother me and come back another day. But now you're lawyered up in the seminar and you've learned that anybody can do it. Even Jesse can get it on your home if he wants to. Anybody can get it and it's free. So once you fill out this form, by law in 10 days, you get all the info that the township has on your property. I'm not telling you that the township has any info. I'm just telling you whatever they have, it's yours. Now let's be a detective. Think logically. If you sign the contract today with your agent, just today, you fill out that Open Records Public Act, not today. Why do what? Let's put it off to tomorrow and do it tomorrow. In 10 days, you get that information. Now you did home inspections within 14 days and your home inspector goes, I see a brand new water heater and a brand new roof. I love when the sellers brag in the multiple listing and say, I got brand new everything, brand new car, brand new windows, brand new, everything's brand new. Well, everybody with brand new, there's nothing old anymore. Everything's 20 minutes new. That's fine. Now, if the roof is new and the hot water tank is new and you get the Open Records Public Act and there's no permission to build that new roof or water tank, a light bulb has to go off. They didn't get the permission. That means you want to tell them through your attorney on your watch to tell them to do it. Why? Because if you don't tell them to do it, everything you're doing after the closing, because you are the new happy homeowner. So you want to make sure you tell them to do it and get that permission. And I would do one more thing from experience. Whenever you get the permits, they'll give you information back and they'll say, oh, water tank, 1986, permit closed. Roof, 2 years ago, permit open, closed. I've seen where townships make mistakes all the time. They're human. But I've learned one thing. If you pick up the phone, which no one does anymore, because everybody's on Instagram and Facebook and like and this and that. If you actually call the township and say, hello, code enforcement, is there any permits that are open? Just ask them that one question. Just listen. If they say anything is open, you want to tell them to close it out. That's it. That's what you tell the seller in home inspections. It's on their watch. And sometimes when you call, they do make mistakes and they'll say, oh, by the way, the pool electrical is still open. And you'll say, but that wasn't on there. That's what I mean by mistakes. It's worth calling code enforcement in any township. If you ever have any questions, I sent Jesse, Jordan, and Cynthia have my brochures. My website is shahlegal.com. That's SHAHLEGAL.com. We also have Spanish. I speak Spanish, understand Spanish very well. Those brochures on my website is Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home in Spanish and English. And we had more than 6.2 million web hits last on it. I get a lot of feedback on it. It's been on CNN, Fox Business. We've been on multiple shows, HGTV. It's been all over the place. If you have any questions, please tell them you're with the seminar. So hold on. I think they said you're with the seminar. I have to read this. It's on my hand. Then we have to treat you with respect and dignity and answer your calls. Yeah, I had to write that down. Yes. Then we will actually take your calls and answer. Instagram. I don't know, I was forced to do it. So I only have 25 followers, don't get excited. But we post things, I think, coming up because as a result of this seminar. And the Instagram page is Shah, SHAH_legal, COM. Please feel free to give us a call. God bless everybody. And thank you for listening. And I wish everybody lots of success in this market and happiness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Satal. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, everyone got the information that they needed? Great. So we provided several links in the chat. If you registered, you will be receiving an email tomorrow. If you know of anyone that was unable to attend tonight, we will be doing these every Tuesday and Thursday, so just have them register. Thank you so much for coming. And if there's no more questions, please have a good night.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George.
My pleasure.
Jenny, I'll be
Take
in
care.
touch.
Okay,
Thank you so
bye-bye.
much.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.